Hello everyone and welcome back to Code Stars. I'm here with David and today we're going to be doing a video that we've been meaning to do for a while, and that video is, as you can tell by the title, what we would like to see in Resident Evil Village. Now, some things have already been shown in the trailers. There's some things that me and David have been discussing, prior to certain trailers coming out. We've been like, I would like this to happen, and then the trailers have shown that that is in fact in the game. So we thought, you know what, now's the perfect time to do this video before more stuff gets released, more screenshots and whatnot. We thought, let's just do this video now before any more of that gets revealed. So number one, I think the thing that me and David want to see most, both, is more to do with the Umbrella origin that this game apparently is going to hold. You see the Umbrella crest everywhere. You see it located on walls, etched on stones, and what I don't want is for it to be a half-assed storyline where they barely explain anything and they sort of like skim over stuff. I want it to go in depth and I want it to be meaningful and hold a lot for the future of the Resident Evil games.
They just need to explain everything to do with this, why it's carved into certain stones and slabs, and what the houses mean. And we went over it in our previous video a lot, so we won't go over it too much here.
Which I will link in the description if you haven't seen that already.
Yeah, but there's a lot that just needs to be explained. That's something that Capcom does with Resident Evil a lot. They leave so many things open, and it kind of just gets lost in the shuffle. Yeah. So, I want this game to be rounded up. I mean, we know Ethan's story's ending. That's what it says in one of the trailers. But I'd like it to just be overall rounded up, good story with just the entire reason why Umbrella was involved in this.
Now, I do think they will go into this. This is not me saying I think they're going to skip over it in half-assed. I actually don't, because otherwise they wouldn't show it so much in the trailer. But there's a possibility that they could. Like, it's Capcom. You can never be too sure of them. They go from making brilliant games with amazing lore to the next game being like sort of garbage in a way. Like, you can never really tell of Capcom. So I just hope that they actually explore this and do it justice. There could be some really good stuff that come out of this Umbrella. This potential Umbrella origin story that they do. So I'm looking really forward to that.
Now, next up, what me and Morgan want to see in Resident Evil 8 is good puzzles, and a lot of them. We know from the showcase that there will be puzzles, but we don't exactly know how tough they'll be to figure out. So I'm hoping in this game we'll have a lot that require you to think, ones that you really do get stuck and you have to really use your brain, basically. We just want puzzles that you really have to think about. Like, I've missed games where puzzles were just hard, like Silent Hill series, and even some Resident Evil puzzles back in the day. Just really tough ones.
Often Capcom can do really good puzzles with Resident Evil games. There's other puzzles though that just, you're thinking, why is this a puzzle? Like, you haven't got to go searching for the answer. The answer's right there. I hope it's puzzles that just require you to use a little bit of brain power. I'm not talking something on the level of like Silent Hill where you really have to think about it, but something that's a bit more complex than what we usually get, I'd like to see that.
And an example of a good puzzle in a previous Resident Evil game is Resident Evil 4. When you're Ashley, you have that stone slab and you've got to mess around with that puzzle and figure out how to, make the picture, I suppose.
Exactly.
That's a really good one. It's fun too.
It's a small, but it's not the best puzzle in the world, but it requires you to actually sit there and fiddle about with it. Like, it can take you 5 minutes, it can take you 5 seconds. It depends on how good you are and how well you know what you're doing. But I remember that for the most people playing the game for the first time, it took them a while to figure out. It took me a while to figure out. So it's not the best puzzle in the world, but something that requires you to just do a bit more than look to like the left of you and have the puzzle right there in your face. Basically, the answer right there in your face. So I hope we have good puzzles. Like, we know there's puzzles in the game, it's whether or not they're going to be good. I hope we have good puzzles in the game. Now, next up on the list is something that I put on near enough every list that I do for like what would I want in the next Resident Evil game, and that is a focus on soundtrack. Now, Resident Evil 7, it had a good, like, there was good pieces of music here and there, like the save room music was pretty cool. The main theme of the game was cool. But for the most part, when you're going through the game, they heavily relied on ambient sound. And obviously, I understand why they're doing that. It's first person. It is more immersive to hear footsteps and stuff like that. But I wish in certain rooms, they had more of a soundtrack. More of rooms, like themes that are dedicated to certain rooms. Like,
gives it more personality, I think.
Exactly. Like the main hall in Resident Evil 2 remake is something I always bring up. Resident Evil 2 rather. The main hall theme. When you walk into the main hall and you hear that main hall theme, you know it's the main hall theme. You know what I mean? You're associated with that room, and I think that adds a lot of personality to rooms. It adds a lot of character to rooms. So you can imagine I was very happy when playing the Maiden demo to hear a main hall theme. When you walk into that main hall, there is actually a main hall theme playing in the background. It's very quiet and it's it's there enough for you to notice it, and that's what I want, because obviously the game's got to have ambient noise to really get you in, but also I feel like music faintly in the background would help it a lot, and it definitely helped the Maiden demo. I've put that game on countless times, the demo countless times, just to stand there in the main hall and just listen to it. Like, it is brilliant.
Yeah, they are going for more of that ambient sound, like you said, first person, more immersive and all that.
Yeah.
But just raise the volume a tiny bit and give us more themes for different rooms and different locations. We've only seen the castle, the main hall there. Other places.
Like,
I want a main theme for each place.
I want to walk into a certain room, hear a piece of music, and know that that is the theme to that room. It's something that's not needed. It certainly isn't needed, but it's something I'd like to see. This is what we'd like to see after all.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be loud as loud as it was back in the old games, like 1, 2, 3, Code Veronica, where it's like there's no ambient sound at all. It's just the theme song of the room or whatever. But just like slightly there, so you can just hear it enough, so it creates. In my eyes, it creates more of an atmosphere.
This goes into character themes too.
Right.
Mr. X, for instance, or Nemesis.
Exactly.
Nemesis theme. When you heard that stalking music, man, that was terrifying.
Exactly.
You knew he was around. You didn't know he was going to burst through a door.
And I feel like Alcina needs that as well, like a theme where she's about.
Yeah.
You hear it, you're gonna fucking bolt. You're gonna run. Next up on the list, and I know this is gonna be a controversial one, or I feel like it is gonna be a controversial one at least.
It will be.
It's either Chris or Ethan die. Now, you'll probably be thinking, why the hell do you want this in a game? Well, what does this change? The reason I want this is because I want Capcom to actually have the guts to do it. I really do. And when I say this, I'm leaning more towards Chris. Don't get me wrong, I love Chris. I do love Chris. He's a great character. But I feel like, honestly, they're running out of things to do with his character. I feel like with how dark he's got, they've sort of explored every single angle from his character. From like, from the first game to here, he's had a great development, I feel like, especially in games like 5 and 6, for example. As god awful as 6 is, his development in that game I thought was really good. To kill Chris off, I feel like would be massive for Resident Evil. They've never killed off a main character before, and you would go into future games thinking this character's not safe. You'd go in thinking Leon's not safe, Ada's not safe, Claire's not safe.
Yeah,
that's the feeling I want to go into a game. I don't want to go into a game thinking, you know what, Leon can survive anything. I think that's kind of a boring way to go into a game.
That's what I feel is good about this new direction that Capcom going with, like Resident Evil 2 remake, 3 remake. Like it's darker. I don't feel like the characters are as superhuman.
Yeah, the characters feel more realistic. Yeah, for sure.
They do, and I feel like with this new direction, it is possible they could kill off Chris. That is possible.
I mean, they do seem to be hinting at that a lot. To be honest with you, I would like it because, as I said, it would just. You would have that sort of fear factor for games going forward. Like, because when you saw Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil 6 and all that, there is no one on this earth that was thinking, you know what, there's a chance Leon could die eventually. Like, at this point, I was convinced that Leon could get to like 100 years old. Like, even age wouldn't kill him. It was that ridiculous. The stuff that him, Chris, and everyone was doing, it got a bit. Not even a bit, it got very much over the top. So I feel like now they're in this more of a realistic sort of mindset. I know that sounds weird to say because it's Resident Evil, but this more realistic character, realistic mindset of characters, it's possible, and I would like to see it. So yeah,
I feel like it would add to Resident Evil if you was scared about the character dying.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
if you had that threat.
Exactly.
Like you said, I could not imagine Leon dying if he's dodging lasers and stuff. I mean, there's no chance of him dying. Do you know what I mean? He's dodging rockets.
Right, but because they're going through this reboot,
CGI movies,
this like series reboot with like 2 remake and 3 remake and 4 remake coming up,
it does have a different feel to it.
Right,
it does.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I know that may be a controversial opinion. I know people may disagree with that. As I said, it's not me wanting Chris to die. I love Chris as a character, but I just want Capcom to have the guts to do it. We haven't seen them actually do it before, and it would give you that fear factor going into to new games, knowing that the protagonist could die at the end instead of going through everything practically untouched.
Now on to a few smaller things that me and Morgan come up with, and if they're not in RE8, it's not a big deal, but yeah, one of those things is a new game plus. Now other games have that, but specifically like Resident Evil 4. In Resident Evil 4, when you start a new game, your inventory is exactly the same as you ended off the last playthrough.
Right.
Your ammo's the same, the weapons are the same, and I just think it adds to the replayability of a game. Like, imagine you complete RE2 remake, and you have the Magnum on you, all of those weapons, and when you start a new game, you have the Magnum in the box. Like, I like that. You ain't got to wait till near the end of the game to get that weapon.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt the game. It doesn't hurt the game in my eyes. So,
no.
I mean, there's certain sequences where like you it's story related where you get a certain gun. I believe that may have been the case in Resident Evil 7 at certain points. No, that was like a small cutscene come when you go on to grab a gun or some shit like that. But it doesn't hurt the game. I feel like RE8 could benefit from it a lot. Like I feel like most games could benefit from a new game plus, and there's still some games that don't do it. I think a new game plus would be something that is cool. Like they said, similar to RE4, where you can start off with your ammo, the inventory the exact same as where you left off. I think
start off overpowered, because once you completed the game, once you played the game through, just go through and have fun with it.
Exactly.
Like, that's why Resident Evil 4 is so good.
And if you don't want to go through and have fun with it, you can just sell your items or just get rid of them, discard them.
That's another reason right there, the merchant.
Another small thing I hope they add is a ink ribbon equivalent in this game. I'm certain that will be on the hardest mode, the equivalent of like Madhouse. I can't remember what it's called. It's in my head, but just can't remember. I'm certain they will add that in that mode. But I think for easy, normal, and hard, it will be just auto saves, and I think that's a smart way to go, to be honest with you, because not everyone likes having to have something for you to be able to save. Do you know what I mean? And many people may even forget. It's not a thing that you see in modern games. It's a lot of auto save, so I don't blame them for going for that. I would like to see it in all modes, but I definitely understand why it wouldn't be the case. So I at least hope they add it in the max difficulty.
Yeah, I mean, I would just like them to give easy mode an infinite ink ribbon like Resident Evil 3. You know, where you can just save many times you want as long as you have that ink ribbon. Yeah. I'm pretty sure we are getting typewriters for the save points, right, in this game?
Yeah, there is a typewriter image that is.
Because you can replace it with a cassette tape if you buy the collector's edition.
Yeah, Ethan's Trauma Pack. Yeah, I believe.
Yeah, so I'm guessing for those you would need the tapes. They'll just replace those with the ink ribbons. So, yeah, I mean, I think it just adds to the game, especially if you're doing like a challenge or like your. I love like going through the game and thinking, oh no, I've only got like 2 ink ribbons left.
Exactly.
Do I save now or not? Like, it really adds to the atmosphere, and it kind of scares you a bit. If you have no ink ribbons, you take the fights more seriously. Like, I love that way of playing. That's what made the old game so cool.
You have to strategize. Like, you have to save on multiple save points, because if you mess up on one where you have no ink ribbons left, you might have to go back and you realize you got to save that ink ribbon. You know what I mean? It just adds to how you play the game. It's something small, but as I said, I hope they add it in, at least in the max difficulty, which I'm certain they will. On to something I hope they don't add in the game, and that is enemies with long-range weapons. If there's one thing I can't stand about Resident Evil 4, 5, and 6 mainly, it is moments where you have mobs of enemies just gunning you down. Like, you're being shot from multiple directions, Chris keeps falling over, or Leon keeps falling over. It is the most irritating thing. It is not fun in the slightest, it's just literally an annoyance. Especially in Resident Evil 5, and especially in Resident Evil 6 with the Joavo. They are non-stop. So I hope they do not add that, because we haven't really seen what later enemies of the game look like. We've only seen sort of the castle and all that. You know, we know they wield like axes or swords or whatever. I don't mind that, but I draw the line at range weapons. That's where the game starts to get really annoying in my eyes.
Well, it's possible, and the reason I say that is because we pick up a rifle in the showcase, and it's a long range weapon as a scope, so it's possible. But I mean, if there is enemies in the game that, I mean, they could have crossbows, medieval weapons and stuff, just don't have them spam you, basically. Like, as long as they don't spam you, it's all good.
Exactly. Just do it. If they're going to do it in a smart way. Like, they have to be careful of how they do it. Because
to be fair, the RE engine wouldn't really work that way anyway. It's kind of slow. Yeah. It's kind of made for like a survival horror approach. You know, going through dark corridors and all that. I personally don't
think they're going to do it, but I'm just throwing it out there that is not what I want. I really hope they don't go down that route.
On to the last thing that we want in Resident Evil 8. I come up with this earlier on, and it's a bit of a fan service, really. The fanboy in me that wants this in the game. I want a cameo appearance from one of the previous Resident Evil characters, like a Leon or a Jill. I would love Jill, actually, like at the end of the game, maybe not halfway through, but the end of the game. I can see there being someone pop up
like how Chris was in Resident Evil 7, basically.
Yeah, exactly. But see, I can see that happening.
I would like the same thing, but only if it's needed. Like, if it's, don't just throw it in there for no reason. Obviously, the fan service wants it, but obviously only if it's there for a reason. Like, if Chris is, I don't know, in a position where he needs to be rescued, for example.
I mentioned that to you earlier, didn't I?
Yeah.
Where Chris, he saved Ethan, but if Chris and Ethan are in this and they're in trouble,
who's going to save Chris?
Someone's going to save Chris, right? Come on, like Jill. I can imagine Jill. We need more of Jill in Resident Evil anyway, I think. Like, I'm not going on some little rant here, but she's so underused. Yeah, so have her pop up.
So yeah, I agree with that. If it feels right and it's done right, they could bring someone back. You know, as I say, we're acknowledging that it is fan service, but it's just, I don't know, it could work. It could work.
It's a small thing that would make me smile when I complete the game. You know, just have someone pop up that isn't Chris. I mean, we get a lot of Chris. We don't get a lot of, you know, like Jill, for instance, or even Claire. have Claire pop up.
Yep, could be any one of the two. Anyone really, I'd be happy with either, just as long as it fits. So that about concludes our video for what we'd like to see in Resident Evil Village. We've got a good few things on there, some things that are pretty like important to me. So the Umbrella Origin one, I really like, that's what I'm hoping for mainly.
That's probably my favourite one.
Yeah,
I just want the story to be good.
Exactly.
I mean, I really do.
And the soundtrack one's pretty big to me as well, but there's other small ones in there, like the enemies using ranged weapons and ink ribbons and stuff like that. Just the small ones that really add to the atmosphere. Like when you see an ink ribbon, come on, you just smile. You just smile, especially in modern Resident Evil games, because you barely see it. You know what I mean? It took about
exactly,
ages ago,
and it's in this classic setting, so it's perfect for a type where I just bring the ink ribbons back. It's a perfect opportunity.
I mean, that was one of the things that was on my list prior to seeing like really anything about the game. When Resident Evil 8 was announced, the setting, and they have exceeded my expectations with the setting. The castle looks so good. It is
incredible.
Spencer Mansion vibes all over. I absolutely love it.
And of course, before the showcase and even before the first trailer, when Resident Evil 8 got announced, or it was announced that they were making it, we had, we wanted a good inventory system. We got the Resident Evil 4 one back. So, I love that. Just organising your box.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I spend a lot of time doing that, I've got to say. So,
More time than it's worth, really, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The merchant, people have wanted merchant back for ages. There's a lot of things that have been announced and they've been shown already, like locations, as Morgan said. So we're getting a lot of things that we wanted originally. This is just bonus stuff, really.
Exactly. So that wraps up what we'd like to see in Resident Evil Village. If there's anything you want to see in particular in the comments, whether it be something that you think is silly, something that is big, small, it doesn't matter. Anything you want to see in Resident Evil Village, then definitely let us know down below in the comments.
Please do.
So I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, cheers for watching, guys.
Cheers for watching.